It is officially time we get rid of the biggest flaw with my Murcielago and give it the 3-pedal manual transmission that it deserves.
What is the biggest flaw, you ask? Well, I purchased the Lamborghini Murcielago with their automated manual E-gear transmission. Lamborghini made so few factory manual Murcielagos, especially in the LP640 variant, that the prices of those have absolutely quadrupled and skyrocketed to be completely out of my realistic reach. That leaves me here with the E-gear, which I do actually really enjoy, and I do believe that it does fit the characteristics of the car. However, there are a long list of drawbacks. Because this car has a big, beefy 600 horsepower plus V12, it needs a high-performing clutch to support that. And when you leave the computer to do the job of managing that clutch, it is very clunky and very lurchy. Maneuvering this car around parking lots, loading it up onto trailers, and just simply sitting in traffic always proves to be a very brutal experience. On top of that, it means your clutch life when a computer is doing the job is very slim. Most cars will last around 20,000 miles or less on the factory clutch, and to do a clutch job, it can cost minimum $15,000 because it is required that the engine and the transmission is removed from the vehicle. Adding that up, that very quickly becomes an extremely expensive car to own. Another high-risk cost is the E-gear actuator itself, to which they can fail, and that would also be an engine out job, which I've heard of multiple engine outs on the same car just simply trying to troubleshoot and fix those faulty actuators. So clearly removing the E-gear components and swapping in a gated manual seems to solve a lot of the problems. On top of that, it provides a otherworldly driving experience that true car enthusiasts cannot deny is incredible. And there's no doubt that it should increase the value of your E-gear car being gated, considering that the gap between the factory E-gear and factory manual cars can be anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000. When the opportunity came up that EAG was willing to do one of the first manual conversions on my car, it was a no-brainer. There are things I could be hesitant about, as I basically am one of the early guinea pigs of these conversions. However, I think this is really awesome content to showcase to you guys and Murcielago owners down the line. The car got shipped off to Texas, and I packed my bags and I flew out there to check in on how they were doing.
You guys join me here out in Austin, Texas. My Lamborghini Murcielago is somewhere around, and I am very excited to find it. What is up?
Welcome to Texas.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I imagine the shop's a little busy right now.
We are. Yeah. we
Crunch time.
Yeah. And we just got 4 cars in over the weekend. So.
Oh, nice. They're clean. I just washed them hard. How are you? Jack, nice to meet you. So we just made it here to EAG, and I already see a little pumpkin there up on the lift. First, we got some other couple cars. We have one of their 599s, which this is already converted, so you can see a beautiful gated shifter right down in there. There's also another Murci, which is soon to be going under the knife after my car. Immaculate pre-LP. And then we have the pumpkin up here. I don't know if you guys recall, but we do have something that we have to take care of before the manual actually goes in, which is this bad boy right here. Oh dude, that's my diff. We blew the diff. I called it blown, but it probably still had maybe like 1,000 miles left on it, but it was whining out. Instead of replacing it, which can cost $15,000 OEM, we're just deleting it. So all of this is just deleted, and then we could go underneath the car. Drive shaft went right through, and then you have the giant placement of the diff. So all of this is gonna now be removed. It's gonna be actually some nice weight reduction, if anything. But on top of all of that, the car is gonna drive a lot more convenient. It's gonna be less wear on the clutch. It's gonna be lighter steering, and you could do donuts and drifting if you wanted to. But that's a great starting point that they are currently mocking up, because you have to take out the drive shaft anyways to start doing the manual conversion.
Now, the basis of a rear-wheel drive conversion is actually pretty simple. All you literally have to do is remove the axles, diff, and drive shaft, aka torque tube. But because of the placement and the sheer size of this car's transmission, it is literally held up and supported by the torque tube. So when that's removed, the front of the transmission now needs some new mounted support. Because all of the current Murcielago front transmission support brackets for rear-wheel drive conversions aren't in stock and will take too long to manufacture, manufacture, EAG decided to take matters into their own hands. Through scanning the underbelly of the car and then loading that into software and designing it throughout the software, and then first 3D printing the part, which then would later be CNC machined, the guys at EAG were fully able to custom develop a transmission support bracket that went into the factory holes inside the tunnel, and it would sit right under the manual shifter bracket. They'll simply make a pair of axle stubs as well, and that fully covers the rear-wheel drive conversion. And now we can move on to the manual conversion.
The gated conversion is basically in like a segment of 3 or 4 parts, I would say. You first have removing the E-gear actuators, the telling the car components on what to do. You take all that out, and somehow these guys are able to do it without lowering and removing the trans, and which would also require removing the motor. And so they're able to literally, with taking out the drive shaft, get like some like wrenches, yeah. Basically, and take out the E-gear actuators. Unwrap it to show you guys. This is the actuator that controls all the shifting automatically. Oh, there she is. It's actually pretty small. This right here connects right into the rod that goes into the transmission. And so yeah, this device is doing all the brain work, but these can also fail, right? And be like a nightmare to troubleshoot.
It's common, yeah.
I've heard people have to pull their motors and transmissions out like several times just trying to deal with one of these. So it's not too heavy, so it's not much weight reduction on this end, but it's reducing any future problems that could occur with this faulting. The lines and such are still here, but they're gonna get tucked in above. And then you just connect it directly to the whole manual shifter, and all that goes right here. But the next part of the whole phase is then you have your pedals. So if we come up here, they've already started on teardown for the interior. And you might be wondering, why is all of this over here missing if they're simply just removing and adding another pedal? The pedal shaft in the whole bracket essentially is actually accessible up, and it's mounted up here. So you have to remove all of this first.
With the gauge cluster out, it allows access to remove the factory pedal box that only has the brake pedal attached to it. The throttle pedal is floor mounted, so we won't be worrying about that. However, this car being automatic, it was only designed to include just the brake pedal, so EAG has to custom fabricate its own pedal shaft to support an additional clutch pedal, and they'll be also making a new brake pedal alongside that to have an entire custom new pedal box.
You're gonna have to wear specific shoes to be driving this as a manual, because this obviously is staying, so it's a really narrow pedal box. The last phase of all of this is programming the car, and the ECU is behind the passenger seat.
Passenger and driver's seat.
That's where the secret Krabby Patty formula comes in that these guys are not going to disclose, because they have cracked the code, and this will all be done with the factory ECU. There have been a couple cars out there that have previously been converted, but I believe they use standalones, and factory is really key to kind of all of this. Allowing the car to know that it's a manual, to not auto blip revs and a lot of various things. That's going to be needed, and that's what I'm sure Art will go in and do all the programming work. I'm going to say that's about it, right? I did my homework well enough.
The biggest thing that was holding EAG back when it came to the timing on completing this car was waiting on their various parts to be manufactured. As I was here, there were still parts that they were waiting on, one of which happened to just be completed, so we didn't hesitate at all and we went out to go fetch it.
So what was the part exactly?
This is going to be the bracket that the shift tower will sit on top of.
Okay, gotcha. We are at some water jet place. Austin Water Jet, to be exact.
Prototype part, yep. Just the one? Yep.
We should have 9 more coming.
Yes. That's why I said it's the prototype, because this is the one that's going out today, and then I've got another, I think 12 on the way.
Thank you.
Part secured.
We got it. Let's go. Here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, so this replaces this bracket, and so your shifter will sit on top of here.
Oh, okay.
With all the materials in place, Art was now able to play with his very expensive Legos. He made sure all the pieces aligned up properly, as well as fitting the transmission mount piece that will also go along with the shifter bracket. With everything mocked up properly, it was time to start piecing the Legos together. After the contraption was made, it was then sent in for painting, and before we knew it, we now had a completed shifter support bracket, and it was time to test fit it in the tunnel of the car.
So it sits right about there.
Yep. We'll have you cut this hole.
Oh boy. You can still install that if you want to still be all-wheel drive.
Yes.
And your drive shaft can just run right below it.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. But in our case, it's pretty helpful that we could simultaneously basically do both. So have this bracket made and then all the other stuff to support the transmission for the rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, I guess there were some kits that were discontinued for the two-wheel drive, so you guys presented me with a challenge, and
I showed up with a blown diff, so I was like, hey, can you convert it to rear-wheel drive? And he's like, you know what, I'll just take a shot at it, and he's basically making one on the spot. Hopefully down the line, this could be a 2-in-1 package for any Murci owner that wants to do a manual swap here. You could just add on a little extra and be like, hey, rear-wheel drive. So everything involving the manual swap that these guys are doing to this car is actually reversible, except for one thing that we are about to do now, which is in fact cut the hole through the center console of this car, which is where the shifter is gonna go through. There's of course not a giant huge hole there if you have a factory E-gear car, and I apparently just got word that I guess I'm gonna do the honors myself.
there's already a hole there
There it is.
from the factory.
So it's already
It's a pilot hole, yeah.
Gotcha.
They basically do the same thing.
This is just, is that carbon fiber? Or?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Carbon,
Yeah, it's actually pretty, like being able to feel it, and then you can see through the pilot hole that this is pretty hefty and thick. Yeah, it's gonna take some work to cut out.
Are you ready to cut it?
I'm definitely not ready, but I don't think anyone's ever ready to cut into their Murcielago.
Yeah, it's a scary thing.
The time is now to cut into my car.
No, wait, that's not where it goes. No, I'm kidding.
You know what, actually, I think I'm not gonna go manual. I think I'm gonna just, you know.
Yeah, put it all back.
I'll just, yeah. We barely made a dent. Oh.
Yeah, careful.
She's done. Here's the piece. It's kind of wedged in here now a little bit. Would you look at that? I could see straight through the floor. Hopefully, that's where the hole needed to go. Oh, hey! This is the God's handshake. So this is the old OEM mount that helped supported the trans, and this is our new mount, and we are reusing this bushing piece that the bolt goes into, and so we have to push this out and have this slide into here. You want to give it a go by hand? Just to try?
Oh.
No way. No way. Dude,
Well, there we go.
Before I started filming, we were literally gonna go bring this to the press, and I just, for the sake of the clip, I was like, "You want?" He got it. Yeah, he did it. His face is like so red now.
This guy's a gymnast.
Yeah. I mean, if you could squeeze it out, it's gotta be able to squeeze back in.
Hey.
Oh.
Oh no.
No, it popped out the other side too much.
We're gonna get it. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, that's flush.
Sweet.
That's crazy. So yeah, they got the measurements that accurate that you could reuse the OEM piece and it sits in perfectly flush.
The next thing on the list was to go ahead and remove the factory pedal box.
Are you going after the pedal support
Pedal
now?
box, yeah. Let's put that on the, or put it on the floor, whichever.
Yeah. So Josh just pulled this cap out from a stud that's way deep in there, but it's exactly where the master cylinder would go.
Yep. Exactly.
And so it's another sign that this car was meant to be manual all along. First you have a pilot hole in the middle, and then now you have an open stud that's just awaiting a master cylinder for a clutch pedal. What are the odds?
It's meant to be.
Right?
painfully tight in here.
You're like cramped up down under the steering column on this side, and then he's like who knows where in the frunk right now.
Yeah, then I need to get this out. Oh my god. Luckily, being small is...
Yeah.
People are like, go to the gym. I'm like, no.
I don't think a linebacker would be a successful manual converter.
No. Souvenir?
Yeah. Factory Lamborghini zip tie, and it's beefy too. Was it coming out on top?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Josh.
Wow. Who would have thought that one pedal has this much attached to it? So is all of this you guys replacing, or is it like just this component?
Yeah, so just this component will give you a new brake pedal, and that'll be one half, and then your clutch pedal will be the other half.
Gotcha. And then yeah, it'll just reuse the spring that's already right there, so every car will have the same feel and pressure of the pedals as what's OEM?
Right, correct, yep.
So in about 1 minute, my Uber is about to arrive and take me back to the airport to take me back to Phoenix already. The unfortunate thing is that I had obligations that I had to go back to Arizona for, and I can't stay here long enough to witness other juicy bits like getting the actual shifter in and seeing the third pedal go in. All of that, these guys will be taking care of in the next 24 hours. They really don't have much time before SEMA, so as the SEMA grind goes, it's always last minute when it comes to builds and cars. But I am glad that I was able to fly down here and cut a hole and destroy my car. I'm sadly already out of here, and I'll be hopefully seeing my car in Vegas very soon. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks, man.
We'll see you soon.
Back at home, it is currently Sunday, and I just received word that the Murcielago will not be making it into the SEMA show. The guys were unfortunately dealing with some issues with the reverse gear, and they had to make some changes, as well as the fact that awaiting the axle stubs to come in from being manufactured, those seem to be holding them back as well. It being Sunday and the deadline to roll your car into the event being Monday at 3 p.m., they need at least 20 hours. It's a 20-hour drive basically from Austin all the way over to Vegas. If they were really diehard about getting the car to make it inside the event, they probably could have, although it wouldn't be functioning at 100%. And what they prioritize is giving me a car that's not rushed and is complete and is drivable and won't have to go back to Texas from Vegas. And so with that, we agreed that we're not gonna have the car driven out as soon as it is now. The plan still is to have them bring the car out to Vegas later on in the week. SEMA is essentially from, you roll in Monday and then the cars roll out Friday. Sometime around maybe Thursday or so, have the car out there and I'll be able to drive it for the first time out in Vegas. And then from there, I will bring the car home myself. Unfortunately, these last couple days that are needed for them don't get the car in through, but I would say that we could still have a victory here with driving my car around Vegas. There are still other events that happen outside of SEMA, like various meets and whatnot. I'll be able to drive my car to those, and I'll be able to bring my car directly home from there right here in Phoenix, Arizona. So that is my most recent update. To me, I'm honestly not really that devastated, because at the end of the day, what really matters here is just having a functioning car. A lot of SEMA builds, they go in there and they're not fully complete. They're really just for show. I mean, this is a build just for functionality. As far as what you'd even see in the show if my car made it there, isn't all that crazy, because as you guys know, my car looks pretty stock and pretty much is stock all the way around. So it's not really much of a SEMA build or show car. It just would have been great to present that gear shifter and the fact that it is one of the first converted ones there, but that presentation will still be able to happen hopefully later on in the week. And if anything, I'll have a car to be able to use around in Vegas and not have one that's just trapped in a hallway for this year. So stay tuned. I have this photo right here, which the amount of excitement I have from this, you guys have no idea, with it at least being mounted in there and the fact that my car is only a few days away from having a stick. I'm still excited no matter what. So thank you guys for watching this video. This is gonna be JackUltraMotive signing it off. Is this car faster than like one of the 599s?
No.
No, really?
599s are quick, actually.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a V12 versus a 6-cylinder, but like they're just so much older. It's just things with age. I mean, you could definitely make this car quicker very easily, I'm sure.
Easily, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw a big turbo on this thing and it's gonna be fast.
Yeah.
But 599s, I think they're pushing close to 700 horsepower in a V12. So
Dang.